You reach for it without thinking. A piece of chocolate, a handful of crackers, a sip of something sweet. It happens before your conscious mind even registers what your hand is doing. And you probably tell yourself it's a lack of willpower, a personal failure, a bad habit you just haven't broken yet. But the real answer is far stranger. Your craving for sugar has nothing to do with weakness. It is an ancient survival command so deeply wired into your biology that resisting it is, in a very real sense, fighting millions of years of evolution. Think about where you are right now. You live in a world flooded with sugar. It is in your bread, your ketchup, your salad dressing, your protein bar. The average person today consumes around 17 teaspoons of added sugar every single day. That number would have been unimaginable to your ancestors, because for most of human history, sugar was almost impossible to find. Imagine walking for 6 hours through dense forest. Your legs ache, your stomach is empty. You have not eaten since yesterday. Then you spot it, a cluster of ripe figs hanging low from a branch. Bright, soft, sweet. Your brain does not deliberate. It does not think. It floods your body with dopamine, the same chemical released when humans fall in love, the same one triggered by certain drugs, and it screams one word: eat. Eat everything. Eat now. That response saved your ancestors' lives. Researcher Daniel Lieberman, an evolutionary biologist at Harvard University, has argued that nearly every craving modern humans experience was once a survival advantage. The body was not designed for abundance. It was designed for scarcity. And sweetness, in a world without grocery stores, almost always meant one thing: energy, fast, safe, immediately usable energy. Calories that could keep you alive until the next hunt, the next harvest, the next lucky find. Your tongue has 8,000 taste receptors. The ones dedicated to detecting sweetness are among the most sensitive in your entire body. That is not an accident. Evolution does not over-engineer things without reason. Your mouth was built to seek sweetness the way a compass is built to find north. It is not a preference. It is a direction. Here is the part that starts to explain everything. When glucose, the simplest form of sugar, enters your bloodstream, your brain lights up in a way that very few other substances can match. Neuroscientist Kent Berridge at the University of Michigan has spent decades mapping the brain's reward circuitry, and his research separates two experiences that most people assume are the same: wanting and liking. Liking is the pleasure you feel when something tastes good. Wanting is the deep, almost mechanical drive that pushes you toward it before it even reaches your lips. Sugar hijacks the wanting system. That is the part that won't let you stop at one. That is the part that sends you back to the kitchen at midnight even when you're not hungry. Your brain does not experience sugar the way it experiences a steak or a handful of almonds. It experiences it the way it experiences a reward signal, a promise that something important just happened. Because for most of your evolutionary history, something important did just happen. You found fuel, you survived another day. But here is where the story gets complicated. Here is the twist that explains why a piece of fruit from 1,000 years ago and a modern candy bar are not the same thing at all, even though your brain treats them identically. The sugars your ancestors ate arrived wrapped in fiber. A piece of wild fruit from thousands of years ago was smaller, less sweet, and far denser with plant matter than anything you find in a grocery store today. That fiber slowed digestion. It metered the glucose into your blood gradually, the way a slow drip fills a cup. Your insulin response was gentle. Your brain's reward signal was steady, not sharp. And then it was over. The sugar was metabolized. The wanting subsided. You moved on. Modern processed sugar is different. It is refined, concentrated, and stripped of everything that once slowed it down. When you eat a cookie or drink a soda, glucose hits your bloodstream in a spike, not a drip. Your pancreas fires a surge of insulin. Your brain registers a burst of dopamine. And then, just as quickly, blood sugar crashes. And the wanting system, the deep animal drive Kent Berridge described, interprets that crash the way your ancestor's brain would have interpreted running out of food in the middle of winter. It panics. It demands more. Right now, more. You were not weak. You were ambushed by chemistry. Researchers at Harvard Medical School published a landmark study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showing that high glycemic foods, foods that spike blood sugar rapidly, activate the nucleus accumbens, the brain's primary addiction and reward center, the same region that lights up for cocaine, the same region that makes gambling hard to stop. Your brain, in other words, is not overreacting to sugar. It is reacting exactly as it was designed to react. The problem is that it was designed for a world that no longer exists. Your preference for sweetness did not begin when you were born. It began before. Research by developmental psychologist Jacob Steiner showed that newborn infants, hours after birth, having tasted nothing in their lives but amniotic fluid, will smile when given a sweet solution. They will grimace at bitter. They will turn their faces away from sour. These responses are not learned. They are installed. They come preloaded in the human operating system because sweetness in nature almost never indicates poison. Bitterness almost always does. Your survival instinct was calibrated before you took your first breath. Now think about what the food industry discovered when it started mapping the human palate in the mid-20th century. Howard Moskowitz, a psychophysicist who worked as a consultant for major food corporations, developed what the industry calls the bliss point. It is the precise concentration of sugar, salt, and fat that produces the maximum craving response in the human brain. Not the maximum pleasure, the maximum craving. These are different things. The bliss point is engineered to keep you wanting long after the liking is gone. It is a key cut specifically to fit the ancient lock in your brain. And once that lock is opened, the door is very hard to close. Every product in the center aisles of your grocery store has been tuned to that frequency. The sweetness level in a modern soft drink is not a natural expression of what fruit tastes like. It is a calculated override of your reward circuitry. It is your own evolutionary heritage being used against you. But here is what is important to understand. Knowing this does not make the craving go away. Your body does not update its programming based on intellectual understanding. The wanting system Berridge described operates below conscious thought. It is subcortical, meaning it runs in structures of the brain that predate language, predate reasoning, predate the part of you reading these words right now. You cannot think your way out of it any more than you can think your way out of flinching when something moves fast toward your face. What you can do is change the environment. Research by behavioral economist Brian Wansink, though controversial in some of his methods, pointed to a consistent truth that other researchers have since confirmed. The strongest predictor of how much sugar you eat is not willpower or knowledge. It is proximity, what is within arm's reach, what is visible, what requires the least effort to obtain. Your ancient brain was never asked to exercise restraint. It was asked to grab every calorie in sight before something else did. It is still doing exactly that. It just has a lot more to grab. Remove the easy targets. Put fruit where the candy was. Put water where the soda was. Not because you are disciplined, but because you are working with an animal that was built for a different world, an animal that is still running very old software, and the most powerful thing you can do is change the landscape that software is navigating. Because here is the truth your ancestors understood without understanding it at all. Every time you reach for something sweet, you are not failing at modernity. You are succeeding at survival. You are doing exactly what 300 million years of vertebrate evolution shaped you to do. You are finding the energy. You are staying alive. The only thing that changed is that staying alive got a little too easy. And the oldest part of you, the part that remembers the empty forest and the long walk and the cluster of figs hanging low from a branch, has not caught up yet. Tonight, when you reach for something sweet without thinking, you will know what that is. It is not weakness. It is the oldest hunger there is, and it remembers everything. You just learned something your brain didn't want you to know. So now the question is, what are you going to do with it? If this changed how you see yourself, subscribe. There's a lot more where that came from.